Welcome back. Today we'll be crocheting and reviewing the movie The Wildling, which is a 2008 movie about a wild girl finding the world. It stars Belle Powley as Anna, Brad Dourif as Daddy, Liv Tyler as Ellen Cooper, and Colin Kyle Soret as Ray Cooper, and James Lee Gross as the Wolfman. So we open up to this kind of like secluded cabin, and it's like a little girl with really, really big eyes, and she's sitting in bed, like a bedtime story, and her dad, who immediately pops out to me, is Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, and will never be anything else in my mind. Pretty much telling her that these wildlings, if you leave the window open or if you go outside, will come and get her and eat her up. And, tells her that there's no children left in the whole world because all the wildlings came and ate all the children. And he's protecting her, and there's only him and her. And so she pretty much believes this, and she's kept this one room. She has this incident where he has like a visitor and they're talking downstairs, and she goes to touch the door and she's shocked. She pretty much, gets knocked out from the shock. And so she asks who that person was, and Daddy once again says, "Oh, there's only me and you. There's only Daddy and Anna. Nobody else, so nobody else to worry about." And so time goes by, and she's learning words, and she gets a little hamster pet, and seasons go by, and candles and birthday cakes. Instead of candles, they actually have little gummy bears. And one day when she's a little bit older, the hamster passes away, and so Daddy tells her that he's going to take the hamster and put him by the berry bush that he found the hamster, and one day a berry bush will grow from the hamster and he'll live a new life. And so she accepts this, and she grows bigger and bigger and bigger until one day she gets her monthly, and her daddy tells her that, doesn't explain to her what's going on. He just says that she's very sick, and he seems really like wigged out and makes her think it's something wrong. He informs her that she is very sick and she has to take this medicine every single day. And so he starts injecting her with this, syringe of something. And so he starts injecting her with this syringe of something in her stomach, and time goes by, and he lifts her shirt up to do more of the syringe every day on her stomach, and you can just see all these terrible scars on her stomach. And she's like listless and can barely even move. He's brought her another birthday cake because it's her birthday. There's food rotting where she usually eats. And he pretty much tells her it's her birthday, and she just says she wants to go to the better place where her hamster went. And maybe a berry bush will grow from her. She's so sick and listless, she just can't even. And so he leaves, and then he comes back and brings something to end her with. And the last second, she kind of opens her eyes and looks at him, and he just can't do it. So he sits by the bed beside her and tells her to close her eyes, that it's all going to be better soon. And then he actually puts the weapon against him and tries to take his own life. She, faints because of all this happening. She's already so tired and listless. So she next wakes up in a hospital, and there's people around, there's lights, there's medical equipment. I mean, she's never even seen this beyond like a bare room in a cabin. And so she is just like, out. She just like runs out of there, runs on the roof. She's so scared. And they get her back, and they, next time she wakes up, she's tied down. But all of a sudden, our next character, Ellen, is there, who is a police officer, and she informs her that she was the one that found her, and that she was trying to get some information from Anna, and Anna doesn't really know anything about anything. She doesn't know her last name. And so the doctor appears and the cop talks to the doctor. The doctor pretty much tells her that she has all of these high doses of this medicine that they give to endometriosis patients that lowers the maturity of person, so they don't fully mature. So it's pretty much suppressing her natural body from growing into a woman. And so they said that's messed up, so they quit doing that, obviously, and they said that she was pretty close to her last breath. And so then a new doctor's come in and inform her she's going to go to some kind of psychiatric Bell House place. And Ellen's like, no, she could stay with me. And then we see Anna pretty much being like, yeah, I'm going with her. So they go with her, and Anna's freaked out because she's in the car for the first time. And there's just a lot of like creepy older men that are just kind of like glaring her down and looking like really foreboding. And Ellen pretty much informs her that, you know, she's new here, you know, she just moved here too, not that long ago, and that she'll like it here. And then when they're in the house eating, Ray, who is Ellen's much younger brother, who is actually Anna's age, comes in, asks who she is, and Ellen explains that she's going to be staying with her and just to watch out for her. And so Ray just kind of tells Anna a little more that they used to live in the city and it was so great, and now they don't. They live in this new town. He hates it and hates the people. And they kind of have like a little bit of moments, but not anything too big. Anyway, so while she was at the hospital before she left, she actually found out that her daddy had actually survived and saw him, but he was in too much of a state. Half of his face looked pretty much wrapped up in gauze. You couldn't say anything. And they pretty much left it at that. So they start trying to live life normally in the house, and Anna realizes she can actually go outside for the first time ever, and she's just like, you know, invoked in this like wonderful euphoria that is nature, and runs through it barefoot constantly and just kind of getting really in tune with all that. Anna and Ray go to school, and she asks one of the popular girls to take her to show her where the library is, and gets invited to a party. And while she's in the library, she's really focused on the Northern Lights, all these books about the Northern Lights. And, you know, she's there for a long time, and then she goes out looking for Ray, because apparently they were supposed to meet there after school. And they see these two bullies. Right off the bat, you kind of catch their vibe of what kind of people they are, lounging at like kind of like a back of the bleachers, down hallway kind of place. And they release Ray from where they trapped him. And one of the bullies kind of like hits on Anna, and she punches him, and they escape. And Ray says she's not doing her any favors, kind of embarrassed that she came to his rescue. And so, you know, Ray and Anna get a little bit closer. They start talking about stuff. And then at that point, she goes running through the woods a little more and encounters a wolf man. And she's really scared of him at first, but then he stops her from running into a trap. And so, you know, now she's back at home, and she's telling Ray that, you know, she's invited to this party, and that, you know, she'd like to go. And all the while this is kind of happening, the last like couple days with the Ellen and Ray, she starts to change. She starts to want to eat more. She starts getting heightened senses. Her nails start turning black, like under the bed. And so they go to this party, and it's really, really loud. And she just can't seem to handle it. So Ray actually puts his hands over her ears, and she puts her hands over his, and they have like a little moment, and they kiss, and it seems really sweet. But then when they pull back, Anna has like blood dripping from her lips, and races to the bathroom and actually has a tooth come out. And she's like really wigged out. And so she, you know, escapes from the bathroom, and the bully that was trapping Ray at first, one of the bullies, notices and follows her along the woods. So she's in the woods, really dark and eerie and misty and creepy. And she just gets this like weird feeling of like foreboding. And all of a sudden, to her vision, this wolf man appears, not the wolfman that she ran into the woods, but this like hairy beast appears and rips off her yellow dress and starts to try to assault her. And she reacts with her claws. She swipes his throat out, like, KO, done. And she like comes to a little bit and realizes that it was the bully and not this like, feared wolfman image that Daddy had put in her brain, had pretty much insinuated was all the evil in the world. And so she is just totally wigged out. She makes her way back to Ellen's house, and Ellen's just like asking her where she's been, has she seen anything. The other cop that has been tagging Ellen, he who's been giving Anna weird looks from the very beginning, informs her that someone's son is missing too and needs to question Anna about it. And while she's away, Anna finds another tooth coming out. And so this is just, a lot. And Ellen wants answers. She's demanding answers. And Anna escapes and flees. And so she goes to the woods for a long time, and she picks up like kind of a scent, and she follows it. And she finds the wolfman in the woods. And he's cooking meat over a spit. And he offers her some. And then he gets really close to her and inspects her face and her teeth, and she's like kind of growling at him the whole time. And he's like, I thought so. I haven't seen one of your kind in a long time. And informs her that she is indeed a wildling. And she's just kind of shocked from this, because everything she's been told is that wildling are bad people. And Daddy said that, she's not like that or anything, that she was normal. And so the wild wolfman asks if, who's a human, by the way, I should insinuate. He's just a out there woods guy with a bad eye, and he's wearing like some kind of animal hat. And he asks her if she wants to see her mom. And so she does, and he takes her to this cave where there's all these bones and skeletons of these wildlings, and she picks up one of the skulls, and the teeth are elongated at the canines and sharp all in the middle, kind of like animal teeth. And when she goes to the cave, she finds out and has like this recap memory of her daddy pretty much taking out her entire family, and for some reason sparing her. And so she feels really angry about this. She feels really like hurt. And so she races back to the hospital and sneaks in to go confront Daddy and pretty much ask him what's going on. But she doesn't get the nerve to do so. So she flees back home to Ellen, and she gives Ellen a really big hug. Ellen at this point was actually looking at pictures of the murder scene of the boy that was missing, the potential offender, and he was laying next to her yellow dress. And so Ellen does what she has to do as a cop and arrests Anna, and Anna feels really betrayed by this and takes her in and puts her in a cage and offers her food. And she leaves the other cop, who's been giving kind of Anna a dirty look the entire movie, alone with him. And so later that night, Anna smells something, turns around and finds that Daddy is there, and his whole side of his face is very scarred, and he looks really gritty, and pretty much tells her that she needs to take this last dose of medicine in a syringe and to lift up her shirt and put it in her stomach. And she's just about to do it when she asks him, like, how come you never told me I was a wildling? Why have you been lying to me my whole life? Starts asking questions. And he pretty much tells her that she is a mistake, that he doing that was a mistake, and that he used to have like a wild dog that went wild that he had to put down, and she's no different. And she pretty much tells him she won't do it and throws down the syringe, and Daddy essentially leaves. And so the other cop, the one that was giving her dirty looks, picks up the syringe, obviously in on something, and leaves. And so Ellen returns the next morning for a fresh change of clothes, and while she sees Anna like kind of underneath the bed, Anna reaches out, grabs her, and knocks her down, and then escapes. So she runs out of there pretty much in her pajamas and sees Ray sitting in the cop car. She tells him to drive. He does, because they've kind of made this like friendship sort of kind of love connection. And they drive for a while, and he eventually says, these cars can be traced. This is stupid. You know, you're never going to escape. We really got to go back. And so Anna's just like, whatever, see ya. And starts walking off into the woods, and Ray follows, and he's like super tagging behind her because she is so fast. And they end up making their way really long ways, and she ends up taking a dip in some water, which makes her clothes see through a little bit. Ray gets pretty good eyeball of her. They sit by the campfire, and he's like, oh, you're cold, and one thing leads to another, and they do it. And then you know, the next day they're running still away from everything, and the hunters find them, and they're firing at them, trying to hurt them. They get separated, and that's the last Ray sees of Anna. And so months go by, and the whole police force is still looking for her in the woods. And by this time, she's now fully coming into her wolf. I'm going to say she looks like a werewolf. She does look like a werewolf. And she's coming into her werewolf form, and she's really deadly. She's able to take anything out pretty quickly with claws and fangs. And so Ellen, who's also searching, is confronted by that dirty cop from the beginning. And he pretty much tells her that she's sticking her nose into something she doesn't understand, and pretty much acts like he's about to kill her. And so out of nowhere, Anna's there, and she takes down the bad cop and saves Ellen's life. And Ellen is just like really wigged out by her form at this point because she's full on werewolf. And Anna turns to the side and puts her hand on her really swollen stomach and kind of shows Ellen that she has a baby growing, and Ellen lets her go. So at this point, the hunters make a giant circle around where they think she is, which she happens to be, and there's a big cave in the middle, and light it on fire to essentially trap her inside and kill her. So she makes her way to the cave, and there's a lot of smoke, and she can barely breathe, and she's kind of disoriented from all that. And then out of nowhere, she's shot by a dart gun, a tranq gun, and she falls to the ground and, you know, can see what's going on, but she can barely move, and it's Daddy. And he walks in saying that she's such a mistake, and he took an oath to get rid of all the wildlings, and just this very holier than thou dramatic rant he has. And he still has this like very authoritative tone when he's talking to her, because he essentially raised her. And he pulls out a knife and begins to take her baby out, trying to take her baby out, and tells her that he's gonna definitely name the child after her if it's a girl. Right as he's about to do something more with that knife, she smacks him aside, and her mouth like opens really big, like the original Fright Night, really big, and tears his throat out. And we get some justice right there. She gives a great big majestic howl and collapses. And so she wakes up slowly to her friend, the Wolfman, sewing her back up and taking care of her. And pretty much pans to Ellen and Ray spotting her one last time across the river as she runs off. And then it goes over the snow and the terrain way deep up into the north. And we see her now walking up and looking at the Aurora Borealis above the snow cliffs, holding her little baby. And she looks so good, so like awesome werewolf lady. And our ending scene is howling happening from the distance, and, you know, letting us know that there are more wildlings out there, and she finally found them. This was a pretty crazy movie. There's just a lot that's so messed up about it, and kind of cool at the same time. I've always been like a really big fan of werewolf movies, and I don't know why I wasn't really expecting this to be a werewolf movie. I was kind of expecting it to be kind of something else. But I'm really glad the way that it turned out. I think they did the wolf really well. They kept it very humanized, kind of like they're a different kind of human species, but still somewhat humanic. And I think it was really cool the way that, you know, she got away with her baby and she found, you know, good news at the end, and that it really came together for her. I just thought this movie was really cool in all generals, and I highly recommend you giving it a watch. Maybe not around any kids at all. Just with yourself or maybe with a friend. So if you like this review, please like and subscribe. And if you have any thing else you would like me to review, please leave it in the comments. It helps so much. All right. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.